Hi, welcome back for another installment of Tutorials by Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to be about stamping on acrylic and also being able to color in your stamped image. For supplies you will need, of course, a piece of acrylic. Mine is by a company called Clear Scraps, but there are many others out there. What I'm using, you could use any piece of acrylic, but what I'm using is a 12 by 12 sheet that Clear Scraps makes. This piece of paper isn't really necessary, but I do have it just under here so that when I stamp the images and start coloring, it shows off the image and you can see it on the camera much better. You'll need your stamps, of course. I am using some clear acrylic stamps by a company called Paper Tray Ink. And of course you want a stamp with an open image so that you can therefore color it. So I have a large flower that they make, and then here is a leaf that coordinates with it. The ink you will need, because you're stamping on acrylic and it's a non-porous surface, is StazOn. I'm going to be using the jet black. And then for markers I'm going to be using these Copic sketch markers. I have them in two sets of 3 different colors. One is kind of a hot pink set and the other is a green set. The hot pink I'll be using for the flower, and the green I'll be using for the leaves. You don't have to have a set of 3 varying shades. I just like to shade my images, and so that's why I have 3 for each color, but you can just use one solid color if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my ink pad. The big trick here about stamping on acrylics is it's kind of a slippery surface, so you've got to be real steady when you stamp. I personally, when I'm stamping on acrylic, do not like to use a stamp pad underneath. I know when you stamp on paper it makes a better image, but for me, I find when I stamp on acrylic, that stamp pad makes it more difficult to get a good image. It's just too cushiony almost. So I like to stamp on a hard surface when I'm stamping on acrylic. Okay, so I've got my acrylic sheet here and I have inked up my stamp. I've got a good coating of StazOn ink on it, and I'm going to go ahead and just stamp directly onto my acrylic. Gently put it down there, try and hold it in place, and then just push down. Hopefully all of my image will show up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take that off. It's sticky ink, so it kind of tends to stick a little bit. There we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and ink up my leaves and do the same thing. Okay, got that inked up. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one off of the edge of the paper because I kind of like that look. Got that one there. And I'm going to go add a few more in some other spots. And we'll stick that one there. Oops, I kind of slid around that, so maybe we'll get a good idea of what I was talking about it being a slippery surface. Well, not too bad. Alright, and let's do one more, just for fun, for good measure. Okay, so one good thing about solvent ink is it does not smear when it gets wet. So if I just give it it should be dry actually by now. If I go ahead and were to touch it, you'll see it doesn't smear. But to color on this image, I need to flip my acrylic over because StazOn ink is a solvent ink, and the alcohol that is in most markers, as well as these Copic markers, will smear the StazOn ink. So I'm going to color on the back side. Now with Copic markers, you want to start with your lightest color. And I'm just going to do part of this. I'm not going to do all of the leaves because I know you all don't want to sit here through me coloring. And I know you probably can't see that, but this is my lightest color of green, and it's just barely going to show up. Ooh, nice squeaking noise. Can you all hear that? Okay. Then I'm going to come through with the next darker color that I have and do it again. Okay. Just a second here, my daughter's coming. Let's see if I can get her to go in there. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, here we go. That's good for entertainment, isn't it? So it's color. I'm going to just stay towards the center mostly with this color because this is for shading. Okay, and we're going to come up here to the end. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the next color. You can hear my daughter, she's here and telling me she's going to be nice and quiet. So we'll see just how quiet she can be. Okay, so we're going to come here and go a little bit even further in than that last color and just kind of stay towards the middle of the leaf and make it darker. Okay. And then we can go ahead and do the flower. And once again, I'm going to start with the lightest color first. And this time I think I'm just going to, this is kind of a big image. I might have, probably for the demonstration purposes, should have picked one a little smaller so you don't have to sit here while I colored this. But I'm already going and we've got a good start. So. That's good. Okay. Just about there. Ooh. Forgot about the tweaking. Alright, so now I'm going to pick up the next darker color again. Pink. And I'm just going to kind of go to the areas where I want this to be a little bit darker. And fill all those areas in. There. Like I said, I just do this for shading purposes. Okay, and then we're going to go to our last darkest color. And once again, shading those areas that I want to be just a little bit darker. Since I'm doing this on tape and I don't have a lot of time to let these colors dry in between, it does help if you can let them dry a little bit longer than I'm letting them dry. Otherwise, you'll find that the ink just kind of tends to push itself and the layers that you put on before around. But like I said, I don't have time doing this on tape because I'm sure you all don't want to sit here and wait for my ink to dry. Okay. And let's go ahead and get that center a little bit darker there.
Can you give me a chair?
Okay, no, Tasha, I'm not going to be chair. So, there we pretty much have it. I didn't color the rest of my leaves, but if you turn it over and lay it down, you'll see how well that works. Thanks. Talk to you.